What's up guys, Dr. Mo here, digital nomad physician at digitalnomadphysician.com, recording from my Santiago de Compostela apartment, my kitchen in the background. I just made some bread that turned out terrible. My girlfriend made fun of me. I tried a quiche that I thought came out good. She thought it was bad. So here's something interesting. Google algorithm, the YouTube algorithm basically says that if you don't add the most relevant information as close to the beginning of your video as possible, you're going to lose a lot of people who are not interested. And so they constantly send me these messages about my actual the conversion ratios, the statistics on my video, like who logged in, who logged off, who stayed longer, based on second by second for the duration of the video. And so you would think that the normal response for somebody who's a content creator, such as myself, is to actually try to do that, try to follow those algorithms requirements so that I can get more people to get on my channel, more people to watch my content, so that I can right? So that I can make more money, so that I can be more famous, so that I can be more popular, so that I can have maybe a broader reach. So this entire video is not going to be anything about that. But what's important to me for the physician audience that I have, if you're creating content of any sort, I think what is the most important is that you figure out why you're doing it. What is the advantage to you? What is the advantage to maybe the people you're trying to reach? And for me, the content I'm trying to create is a way for me to connect with the people that I normally wouldn't be able to connect with unless I set up a shop. Back in the day, everybody set up a little shop, right? Way back in the day. And even now in a lot of countries like here in Spain, the cafe owner is really trying to just cater to the people in that neighborhood. And after a certain amount of people that they see for the day, they've made the money that they wanted to earn. They're not interested in having more people come. And that's something really unique and different. In the United States, we're sort of accustomed to, or maybe have the goal of like more and bigger and louder and more aggressive and pushing the boundaries. I want to have 10 million people on my channel. I want to have 100 million people. I want to be the first person to have 1 billion views of my content. And that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you as a physician are trying to reach an audience of people who are interested in what you do and hopefully are going to work with you, hire you, consult you, whatever it is that you're doing, that stuff shouldn't matter. I think the people you should find are the people who are going to leave your video in the beginning because they're like, what the fuck? Like, this guy was supposed to talk about this, guy was talked about that. Excuse me. And so for that reason, I do recommend to maybe ignore those things a little bit and try to focus more on what's important to you, on the creating the content, connecting with the viewer, and getting your information across. And let the person who's watching it, and that's you guys, to fast forward or to play it on 2-speed or to increase the volume, decrease the volume. Of course, it should sound okay. The sound should be okay. Hopefully my lapel mic here and my gorgeous laptop should be able to create a good experience. The lighting that I created should be okay with the window wide open so I can get some natural light. That said, let me share with you the actual content. I mean, what am I actually going to be talking about in this video? The part of this video that's going to be most important is why you guys, especially as specialists, can and would benefit so much from offering a second medical opinion service, or basically offering a consultation service that is not based in your traditional clinical practice. What do I mean by that? Imagine you are, actually, in fact, I'm going to use my example. That's what I thought about doing. So this arm is fucked on so many levels. I can't even tell you. This poor hand has been through so much over the past probably 2 years. I have problems flexing this finger. I have a big mass in here. I have numbness, tingling. I haven't been able to rock climb for quite a few months. And it's been really difficult because rock climbing has been and was and is, and hopefully will be, a very big part of my life. I climb at a very high level, very competitive, and I really enjoy it. My lifestyle is actually based around my rock climbing. And so now I don't have that, and I really miss out. I'm really missing out on it. I feel like I'm missing out on it. So I've gone to numerous physicians, I've gone to physical therapists, and nobody's really been able to figure out what it is. And one of the problems, one of the issues has been because the traditional visit is based around something straightforward in Western medicine. It's something straightforward, something you can figure out quickly, package it in something nice, give it an ICD-10 code, know the proper surgery that you're going to do for it, know the proper follow-up or medication that you're going to do. That's great. And I think the majority of medical conditions might fall in that space, but many of them don't. Many of them don't, right? We know this. We know that as a family medicine doctor, you have the patient whose diabetes is just not well controlled no matter what you do. You have, as a psychiatrist, you have the depressed patient whose depressive issues are just, I'll take my glasses off. Okay. They're just not well controlled. No matter what you have tried with their depression, this, that, new medicine, therapies, monthly injectables, they're just not well controlled. Maybe they're having the psychotic breakthroughs. Maybe you're thinking about like, oh man, this person probably needs hypnosis or they need some other type of therapy. But you just don't have the time to do that. You don't have the experience, the expertise to do that. For that reason, I will tell you that if you can build a practice that is mostly online, where you can spend a lot of time with the patient, really dive into the details of what it is that they have, and you can have a brick and mortar practice and you can have a virtual practice. But to really focus the majority of your effort and time on this virtual practice and spend a lot of time with the patient, you can earn a lot of money. So here, just do a simple math, right? Imagine you see 20 patients a day at $10 per patient, right? So 20 times 10, that's $200. Okay, so you can make $200 in one day of seeing patients. Now, instead of seeing 20 patients, what if you only saw 10 patients, right? So in order to still make $200, let's say, you would double up the price, obviously. So you would charge, what did I say? 20 bucks. You would charge 20 bucks per patient instead of $10 a patient. And so now imagine what if you just wanted to see 5 patients, right? So you would have to charge $40. What if you wanted to just see 2 patients a day and you wanted to spend a lot of time with these individuals instead of 2, right? So you do the math and you can figure out that, okay, well, we're not talking about the amount of time that you're going to spend in the clinic, right? You might still be there for 8 hours a day in the clinic seeing those 20 people for $10 per patient, but you could also spend a lot more time with each patient. Now, the initial thought that you might have is, yeah, but I'm going to see really complicated patients, and then my surgeries, maybe if you're a surgeon, would also become much more complicated. And that might be true, but I would actually tell you, I will push back on that, because I think the majority of the cases that are really complicated are often due to the way the patient has been treated in the past. They really never were listened to. Maybe they didn't really have the proper testing. The surgical options that were done hastily, or maybe there's a bit of complications. I think in this hand process, one of the things that seems to come up a lot, the surgeries that are done sometimes cause nerve entrapment, cause circular issues, and then there is the secondary complications, and then the next surgeon doesn't catch it, the follow-up surgeon doesn't catch it, the primary surgeon doesn't catch it, that, oh, there's just a nerve that's trapped in the scar tissue and that just needs to go in and get released. Or maybe this patient might benefit from a simple TENS unit over here, or maybe this was a C8, C6 nerve issue that got missed. And so if you can keep that in mind and understand that some of these things are just simply from a byproduct of a system that is moving way too fast and not spending enough time with the patient, you now have a product that's very unique and it's very different from the average, let's say psychiatrist, or let's say hand surgeon, right? So now this hand surgeon is saying, hey, Mohammed Ashori, you're willing to pay me money, right? Yep. Okay. So normally I would charge, let's say $500 for a consult, and it would be about 20 minutes. Okay. I'm going to charge you $1,000 for a consult, or $1,500 for a consult, but the consult will be an hour. The consult will be, 45 minutes, 30 minutes. It will be a very long, extensive consult. However much you need to charge in order for it to make sense, right? And remember, it's not just the time of the consult, but you can also charge more for your surgery, especially when you're cash-based. So obviously, a lot of this stuff is about cash-based. If you already have a practice, if you're a family medicine doctor and you already have a practice and you're like, well, I'm not gonna be able to do that because I have insurance contracts. Well, you can add certain slots for these more complicated primary care visits. You can, if you're an endocrinologist and you want to have more PCOS patients and you want to really dive into their lifestyle and routine from a functional perspective, you can add more slots and just charge a lot. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, just charge a lot and wait and see if people will come. People will come. People will find you if you make your content available. For example, right now, as I'm in Spain, I've been looking for different hand surgeons who can handle this. So I found Dr. Onya, Dr. Piñal, and then there's this other doctor whose name I don't remember, and he's north of me. So the first two doctors are in Madrid. So I flew out and took the train back to see one of them. And that was difficult because he didn't have a lot of information about himself. I didn't really understand what his bedside manner was going to be like. He didn't really create a lot of content. He gave some lectures, so I was able to take a look at his lectures. But again, he didn't have enough information for me to really know what the visit was going to be like, the kind of bedside manner that he has, how thorough he is. There was nothing on his website about what is the process going to be like when you come and see me. If I knew, so his visit was $200, 200 euros. If I knew that the visit was going to be longer and very extensive and very thorough, I would have paid 800 euros. I would have paid 700 euros. He doesn't know that. He does not know that. That's the crazy part. And how many of those people on his patient roster that day do you think would have paid that? I would probably say 20%, because he is one of the, he's apparently a world-renowned hand surgeon. So maybe 20-25% of the people would have paid quite a lot more, right? Because most people are wealthy, but most people, so most people who go to private doctors are wealthy, and the majority of this group are very good about perceiving value, and they will pay a lot more for value. They don't care about price as much, they care about value. So if they can get a lot more value for something, they don't really care about the price. I don't care about the price. I don't care about the price. I care about the value that I'm getting. And now this time, the only option that was given to me was $200 for a visit. Now, if he did a little bit more inquiry, he said, now I do have this other service where I will meet with you for an hour. It's $1,000 and your name is Mohammed. You obviously don't speak very good Spanish, or maybe you speak good Spanish, but I'll also have a translator. I'll also have some fellow residents, or I'll have some other attendings there. I'll have a nurse there. We'll record the entire conversation for you. I'll send you a summary immediately. I'll answer all these questions. You can send all this information, all your questions to me right now so I can review it before your visit. Imagine if that service was available to me. I mean, shit, I would have paid so much. I don't know if I would have paid 1,000. Would have paid 1,000? I probably would have paid 1,000. Yeah, I probably would have paid up to 1,000 euros if I knew that. And he probably, not only would this $1,000 visit have much more likely converted into a sale for his surgery if the surgery was necessary, but it also would have much more likely made me trust him after that entire visit about whatever else he recommended, whatever course he had that I was supposed to take, whatever physical therapist I was supposed to see, whatever study I was supposed to do. Instead, I had a 20-minute visit with a very good surgeon, obviously, and who recommended, you have a thrombosed artery in the hand. Like, what the fuck? I've gone to other doctors, nobody even suggested that. And he did the Allen test, and yes, okay, all right, so I have apparently a thrombosed artery. I need a CT angiogram, I need an MRI. But now I'm like, no way, I got a fucking thrombosed artery in my hand. And he said that he needs to do surgery, go in and take one of my arteries out and do a full transplant surgery, and graft the artery in there. And I'm like, what just happened? Like, in 20 minutes, like, this guy's telling me all this stuff. I have no buy-in. I have zero buy-in with this guy. I don't trust him. I don't believe him. Now, he's probably right. So it's not that I don't trust him. It's not that I lost faith in him. It's just that I didn't have enough time to ask the right questions to really buy into this story. And for that reason, I'm getting another opinion. I'm probably going to get a third opinion. So I'm going to get a third opinion from the other 3 opinions that I got. So I'm going to get a 6 opinions. And I'm hesitant. I'm like, should I do a CT angio? Should I do a CT angio for this? It seems very excessive. So I'm debating whether I'm going to do that, right? I didn't get the buy-in. And, I'm waiting to hear what his surgery, how much he's going to charge me for surgery. I'm probably guessing 20,000, 30,000 euros for the surgery. So All of this to say that if you are a physician and you're interested in doing something just a little bit different for income's sake, for just cutting back your hours, for being a little bit less location dependent, for having the freedom to travel the world and offer these second opinions, you need to have a lot of skills. You need to have a ton of skills, guys. This isn't just about going online and like, oh, okay, yeah, hey, this is Dr. Pignal, what's going on? Okay, the hand, oh yeah, it's probably this, and like, oh yeah, you need to do this. No, it doesn't work that way. That is the system, that's the model that right now is failing miserably all over the US. And so many people, so many physicians who have started their own private virtual practice, so many direct-to-consumer telemedicine companies like MD Live, Teladoc, Doctor on Demand, Roman, Nurx, all of them are doing the same damn thing that doesn't work in the physical practice, hasn't worked in the virtual practice, and they're hoping that somehow this is going to take off. And it won't. And I promise you, it will maybe shuffle around some money and some physicians will go work for them. But in the end, this model burns physicians out, frustrates patients, and the results probably end up being the same. So for the physician who's interested in this, you really do have to recreate. You have to create, am I sweating? Oh well. You have to recreate a business model, a completely new business model. And you have to kind of think about this from the perspective of the patient, the client journey, the customer journey. I talked about that on one of my articles that I wrote on my website. Go to digitalnomadphysician.com, type in patient journey. And I think that piece is really important, understanding what is this sample client, this sample patient that's gonna wanna go through this. As a sidetrack, let me tell you a quick story. One of our really good friends here in Santiago de Compostela decided to open his own cafe, his own specialty cafe. Now, Santiago de Compostela is growing very rapidly, and there are some really nice specialty cafes, but there are very few for the number of people who are really interested in this specialty cafe scene. Now, me and my girlfriend have been regulars at the previous cafe that he worked at before he decided to go out on his own. But he never once consulted us. He never once, not consulted, but he never once came to us and said, hey, Mo, Nilu, what do you guys think? So I'm thinking about opening this cafe and I'm kind of thinking about doing it this color inside and this kind of seating and this kind of service, but it's going to be in this location. What are you guys' thoughts? If it was me and I had access, and we were friends with him, right? We were like, we didn't have his phone number or anything, but like we were very cordial. If I had access to people as nice as myself and Nilo, I mean, at least we come across nice and open, I would have taken advantage of that. I would have said, guys, can I buy you a coffee? And I want to pick your brain. This is what I'm thinking. And, I want to hear what you think, but I have these 5 questions for you as a sample audience of mine. And unfortunately, he opened a cafe that is not the kind of place I would want to go to. The color is terrible. The location is bad. The services he's offering is not what goes along with a specialty cafe. So for all those reasons and probably others, it's not the kind of place I would go to. And it's probably not going to be the kind of place that's going to take off unless he does, and he hasn't been. I mean, unfortunately, he told us that he's been really struggling. It's probably not going to take off as is. Of course, he probably is going to be able to figure out how to make adjustments, what other services to offer, what kind of different cafes and stuff, how to change the color of the inside, for crying out loud. So all of that is something that he's going to have to learn the hard way. And so going back to the medicine side, if you've been raised in a Western medical system as a psychiatrist, oncologist, hospitalist, gastroenterologist, pediatric cardiologist, I don't care what you're doing, I don't care what you've done. You could be occupational medicine and you can make a really good living online if you reimagine the kind of virtual practice that you build, and don't just build it by imitating the previous medical systems. That doesn't work. You have to build it based on who's your client, what does that client journey look like, what are they going to pay you, how much can they pay you, what is their demographics, what are they looking for, right? I am not looking for the cure or treatment of this. I'm looking to go climb again. Nobody has ever asked me that question. So you will always miss the boat with Mohammed Ashori if you're dealing with this hand and asking me, well, does it get numb? Does it fall asleep? Is it weak? Is it this? Is it that? You're never going to get to the bottom of it because not one person has said, what is your goal with this? What are you trying to do with this? Why are you here? What are you looking for? Whom else have you seen? Nobody's ever asked me that. Whom else have you seen? What thoughts do you have? What worries do you have? What is it you're trying to figure out with this? What are you trying to get back to? I want to be able to climb without having to lose 5 nights of sleep because the whole hand gets swollen and it cuts off, it puts pressure on my nerves and my hand gets numb and I can't fall asleep. That's it. I want to be able to do that. Great. So you approach it from that perspective, and then you kind of extract my fears, and then you ask, like, what are you willing to go through? What kind of physical therapy program? What kind of surgical intervention are you going through? How much are you willing to pay? What do you like? Let's explore that a little bit. That can become incredibly powerful. Now, I just gave you a fork, right? From traditional Western medicine to like, okay, I can go work for Kaiser. Here's the fork. I can go into this whole new thing where I add a very unique piece to my already existing practice, or I just go off virtually to this awesome new system that Dr. Mo is telling me about. Now, within that fork, there is another fork. Many of you are surgeons, you perform procedures, you're doctors, you're specialists, you're gastroenterologists you're anesthesiologists, you're gastroenterologists, and you do procedures, you do surgeries, but maybe you don't want to do that anymore, or maybe you're thinking of a way in the future to not do that anymore. If you're going to do that, if you have that idea, it's actually beneficial. Believe me, if I could go see a hand surgeon who can just tell me, let's assess everything, let's get all the information from the previous doctors, let's get all the studies that you have done, and I don't perform surgeries. That's the beauty of it. Yes, I used to perform surgeries, and I'm very up to date on the most common surgeries. I'm in touch with this doctor, this surgeon, this surgeon, this surgeon. I communicate with them regularly, so I know exactly what surgeries are like the, I don't know, most up-to-date, hot, sexy surgeries to do. But I don't do them because that's a conflict of interest. Because if you come to me and like you're paying me cash for something and then I charge you cash for that surgery, there's a conflict of interest. So guess what? I'm just consulting for you. I would never do your surgery, or I don't do surgeries anymore, whatever. But I'm happy to consult on your hand case. Imagine that's fascinating. That all of a sudden captures the interest of your patient, who's going to be like, oh, thank God, a surgeon who's not just trying to push a surgery on me. Because my surgeon never gave me the option of not doing a graft. He just said, you need to graft. You need to graft from an artery to this, and that's what I got to do. Okay, well, that's tough to swallow. That's a difficult thing. So to wrap it all up, if you are interested in building something virtual, whatever it is that you're doing, it's never going to work if you imitate what already exists. What already exists doesn't work, right? And for that reason, you gotta really think about the patient journey. You gotta figure out how it is that this new model is going to work for you. And I don't care what specialty you are. You could be a rheumatologist, you could be a pediatrician, you could be a hospitalist, you could be an orthopedic surgeon, you could be a spine surgeon. You can offer a type of service that is unique enough that can be done virtually so that you can be a little bit more location independent, or you could do it in person. It doesn't matter. But you're going to have to be very, very particular about that patient experience, about what it is that's going to make this stand out. You have to figure out that marketing piece. Now that's what I do. That's what I do in my consulting. I work with physicians to figure that piece out. And I also work with physicians a lot in the coaching department to help them figure out what is it that they're just having such a difficult time with their career. You know, you're burnt out. I cannot unburn out you, you know. That's something that you're going to have to go through on your own. But I can certainly tell you that if you're not liking this particular practice, you don't like this psych practice that you're in, you don't like this hospitalist practice that you're in, and if you want to build something for your own, on your own, that's unique, that's different, I can help you discover that. I can help you figure that out because I know what's in the market space. I know what patients are looking for. I know what clients are looking for because I'm in so many different markets and spaces. I'm not going to just give you my opinion. What I say is backed up by so much information that I've acquired over these past few years. But you do need somebody to help you with that. Now, there's probably other physicians like me who are doing something like this, and you need to work with them. And the money you spend on these guys and on people like myself goes a long way. This is money that's you taking this money and investing it into your business and investing it into your future so that you're not just constantly going to the same old clinic, doing the same old thing that's burning you out, that you're fully detached from. Instead, you're building something that probably has some future sale value so that you can sell the business, that has some potential for you to work fewer hours and hopefully make more money. But of course, the whole point of being a doctor is that you want to do something that's really helping patients. I mean, in the end, I promise you, whatever you do, if it's not helping a patient, if you don't feel like you're making a difference, eventually you're going to burn out from it. You can burn out from making too much money, working too much, from seeing too many patients. You can burn out from all sorts of things. And this is another thing that you can burn out from. If you're doing clinical care and you don't feel connected to the patient, you don't feel like you're making a difference, I think in the end you're going to burn out. So with all that said, if you do want to work with me, go to digitalnomadphysician.com. On the top right, you can click on coaching and you're going to get all the information about that. And if you are building something on your own, do keep these things in mind. Do research these things before just going out and starting something and imitating a system that doesn't work. All right, guys, that's it. Take care.